So nothing is uttered out of your mouth except there is a raqib, in other words, somebody who's monitoring it, and atid, ready to write it down. So anything that you say, and it's really important for people to think about this because we're in an age of talking. I mean, I don't think humans have ever talked more than they talk today. And just something to think about. When you write something on the internet, you can't get that back. Some of them you can delete. People delete tweets and things, but they're not deleted with the angels. Especially when it's about other people, because then it's the haqq of somebody else. And there's the qantara for Muslims. Like the qantara is going to be a problem. Because the qantara, you can't get into paradise until you settle things with other Muslims. So you make it across the sirat, there's another stage, which is the qantara. For anybody you wronged, they have a right at that point to demand from you. So, but people just don't think about this. They just, مَا يَلْفِظُ مِنْ قَوْلٍ. There's not a word uttered that it's not being recorded. And now we know all these recordings, all our phone calls are recorded. I mean, سَنُرِيهِمْ آيَاتِنَا فِي الْآفَاقِ وَفِي أَنفُسِهِمْ. We're going to show them our signs. I mean, look at all the recording that's going on. Hidden conversations. There's people now that get people in these gotcha situations, and they record them, and then they put it up on the internet. You know, the Prophet said, "Al-majalis bil-amanat," like private conversations are sacred trusts. The Prophet ﷺ said, if a man ever, before he says something, he looks around, it's amana. Like, but they also say, don't blame somebody for, if you tell somebody a secret, don't blame them for telling somebody else, because they say the same thing that pulled it out of your chest, pulled it out of theirs. That's why they say, sudur al-ahrar, qubur al-ahrar, that the breasts of free people are the graveyards of secrets. Like, because it's people that spread other people's secrets and tell. I mean, everything's going to be revealed on the Yawm al-Qiyamah. But sitr is also very important. Our religion, you know, and this is a very fine line. I recognize this especially today because there's certain things. But one of the things that people do is they love to put this all up on the internet. Local problems should be local problems. The Muslim community, they take a local problem. Some imam does something, scandalous thing in some, town in whatever, someplace, and suddenly it's all over the internet. Like, these are fitna people. They're spreading fitna. Let the local community deal with that. If the person is a prominent person, there might be some need, but generally these are local problems. The idea of just spreading all this fitna it's really not good. And it makes people, scandal is when scandal happens, it just has a horrible impact on the community. And a lot of these problems are problems of just not following Sharia. They're just not following Sharia. I mean, the Prophet ﷺ told us, don't be alone with somebody who's not a mahram. So any woman should never, if some, quote unquote spiritual teacher is saying, oh, I'll give you private lessons, red flag, the Dajjal, because it's just not in our religion. And that's what protects people, both people. Because if you're alone, you're with Iblis. He's the third. So, and then people also, even just seeing people, like the Prophet ﷺ, he was with Maymuna, and it was nighttime, and he was walking, and they saw the Prophet ﷺ. He said, "Innaha Maymuna." He told them, it's my wife. And they said, "Anattahimuka ya Rasul, would we ever suspect you?" And he said, "Inna shaytan yajri fi ibni Adam majra ad-dam." Shaitan flows in the veins like so even the best people can get that doubt, right? So, but you know, there's just a lot of, the internet has created such a horrible environment for people. It's just really unhealthy. And then all these people that just attack other people. Like recently, because I was talking with Sheikh Abdullah and there was a big fitna with one scholar who said something, and then all these other scholars jump in. If this is the scholars talking like that, then what about the poor people just who aren't, if they see the quote unquote ulama attacking one another, Allah says, "La tanabazu bil alqab." Don't call one another names. The Prophet said, "Ma baru aqwam." What's up with the people that do this? So ghiba is very dangerous, and ghiba is, I mean, dhikruka akhaka bima yakrahu. It's to mention your brother with something that they would be disturbed. And then one of the Sahaba said, "When kana fihi ya Rasulullah," you know, and like even if it's true, like he was, you know, because this is human, right? People like to talk about other people. It's a very common thing. And Ahmad Zarruq said that the bab of ghiba is opened by how's so-and-so. Because some people ask that because they want to hear dirt, right? That's why they ask, oh, how's so-and-so? Amazing. Nothing changes. Humans. So that's something really to think about. Just all these things that you say online and what's going to happen. And then you make tawbah, and what do? And then again, so just about ghiba, you know, there's certain, you know, there's 7 things that the ulama said that don't go under that category. So just to, you know, for the benefit of that. It's one of the worst sins, is ghiba. فَجَنِّبْ غِيبَةً إِلَّا حُرُوفًا بِبَيْتٍ جَاءً بَعْدَ الْأَكَابِرِ. So avoid ghiba except certain reasons to do it that some of the great ulama have mentioned. تظلم واستغث واستفتي حذر وعرف بدعة فسق المجاهر. Those are the 7 things. So تظلم is if there's a zalim and you want to, you know, to tell me you need help in getting rid of this zalim. It's not ghiba to do that. Another one is استغث, like for istighatha, like calling for help. Like, you know, oh, this person's doing this or that. And then istiftah. So one of the women asked the Prophet ﷺ, she'd been given 2 proposals about, one was from Muawiyah and Abu Jahm, and he said, "Amma Muawiyah fa su'luk," he's poor. And he says, "Amma Abu Jahm fa darrabun lin nisa," in Sahih Muslim. In the other riwayat it says, "La yarfa' an a'tiqihi, la yarfa' al-'asa an a'tiqihi." But he said darrabun, so he was warning her against somebody who had a propensity to domestic violence. So that's not ghiba, you're warning the person. So if somebody, you know, is asking you about a potential spouse and you know something about them, then you should let them know. That's nasiha, that's not ghiba. And inshallah, it won't be written down as ghiba because you're giving nasiha, dinu nasiha. And then also, you know, haddar, to warn people about, like somebody in business dealings, things like that. You warn them. And then ta'rif, arif, like if you say, you know, the blind, the person, he's blind. Like you're just doing ta'rif, you're just letting somebody know. Or the one with the limp. You know, it's those things aren't, it's not ghiba if you're doing it to describe somebody so that they know who you're talking about. And then, you know, bid'ah, like warning people about bid'ah, which is a problem now because every group thinks that every other group's a mubtadi'. And so they think they're free just to, and that's why you should do what's mujma' alayh. You know, when there's difference of opinion, just leave people alone. You know, it's a valid opinion to do the Mawlid. It's a valid opinion that considers it, you know, an innovation. They're both there. The minority opinion is the second, but just leave people alone. If somebody is at their opinion, it's a perfectly valid opinion for them to take. But don't attack other people that the ulama said that they can do that, right? So that's important. Because it's only the mujma' alayh that is yunkar. If it's agreed upon, then you make inkar of it. If it's not agreed upon, you should leave people alone. I mean, they said about al-Ma'ziri that kada la yunkiru ala ahad, and Sheikh Abdullah is like that because his knowledge is so vast that he'll say, oh, maybe he's on the opinion of so and so, and that's part of why this religion was able to be a world religion, is because it had a tolerance that other religions just didn't have. We didn't have these religious wars. If you look at the intolerance and that they've lost their religion in a lot of ways from their intolerance. And now you have all these Muslims that are becoming intolerant. And the Prophet said, you'll follow the previous religions down the lizard's hole. And that's one of their hallmarks, is the intolerance of these previous dispensations. So it's really important just to, you know, just recognize and everybody's a alim today. All these amazing ulama. Like everybody's a scholar, you know, and everybody has an opinion, and everybody, you're wrong, he's wrong, you know, mashallah, it's amazing. And you know, I mean, there's a temptation just to yanzawi for people, because it's just, you don't even want to bring that on other people, you know, because you become a source of fitna yourself, you know. That's why a lot of people, when things get bad, they just go in, you know, they just ya'tazil an-nas for that reason.